America can go as far as even threatening other countries with nuclear weaponry. What do you have to say about that?
How the U.S. is this world empire, it's also trying to hold on to this position as we go through this era, what I call transnational capitalism.
How can we challenge these military elites? Because you mentioned about this transnational capitalist class.
It's a tough one because this is the world empire with the military infrastructure.
But this is the question.
This understanding around race was really constructed during the rise of liberalism and capitalism, and dividing people up into different groups to be ruled and subjugated.
If you trace back their historical background, they were Romans and all these kind of, so Muslims defeated them at that time. So they always have this fear of Muslims will capture us. Why this Palestine issue is so important. Jerusalem is so important.
Long history going back, to the Crusades and conflict between the West, but also a lot of interaction and trade. And they think 180,000 people died in Gaza, not the 30,000 number that we kept hearing throughout the years.
USA government says that what bigger threat Iran is if Iran has nuclear power. But the major issue is that the major threat the world faces is with USA having nuclear powers, right? Because right now on this Palestine issue and the Gaza issue, the major threat, USA can do a lot of things out of desperation, because Netanyahu, I believe, will go as far as Jerusalem, because these are very massive questions. And I'll they are getting all the help. Netanyahu is getting help from America. And America can go as far as even threatening other countries with nuclear weaponry. What do you have to say about that?
There's a lot of points there, and just to close out our previous points too. I mean, while the U.S. is this world empire, it's also trying to hold on to this position as we go through this era, what I call transnational capitalism, or the rise of a transnational capitalist class, where we see this integration, cross-border mergers and acquisitions and investment flows, and the global economy is
the elites, the bureaucrats. I read this. The technocrats and the higher echelons all together.
It's become so much more functionally integrated across borders as compared to earlier periods of capitalism, right? That Adam Smith or Marx or others or Gramsci were writing about earlier in the 19th and 20th centuries. So we're in some ways we're living through a really fascinating time right now. Just with the rise of AI. What do you think what AI can do with astronomy and all these new tools that are coming about, and the increase in productivity and technological advancements? But then, at the same hand, how can these things be used for different repressive and coercive and monitoring? There's so many ways that they can be used. But on your point in regards to wait, sorry, what was the point in your last question?
Nuclear energy, nuclear power.
Yeah, go ahead.
Nuclear power. On the nuclear power question, the question I would like to
Israel.
If I can ask it in a different way, would be that America likes to put a check and balance on other countries. They pulled away from the Iran nuclear deal and all these kind of things. But the thing is, they believe that they can use this whenever they like. They can use it out of desperation to maintain their global dictatorship, to maintain their hegemony, right? So how can we challenge, and this question I've been asking a lot of people, that how can we challenge these military elites? Because you mentioned about this transnational capitalist class, this capitalism, and I like to use the word oligarchic capitalism, but I like to suggest another word, oligarchic militant capitalism, because we have the higher elites in the politicians, and then we have the higher elites in the military, and both of them are connected. And the thing is, the button on the nuclear power, a lot of CIA intelligence, US Army chiefs, all these people are interconnected on these elements. So how can we develop sort of, because in this current time, we have actually won the media warfare, and we can congratulate each other. We have actually won the media warfare, because never has the narrative been so much against America that in this time on the Gaza issue. But the thing is now, militarily, how can we challenge them militarily?
You're talking about in Gaza specifically?
Gaza specifically.
That's a tough one.
Russia and China.
That's a tough one, because this is the world empire with the military infrastructure.
But this is the question.
I think the only countries that the U.S. really fears are probably China and Russia, countries that are have significant military capabilities, and that they only push them so far. I think a key thing is international law, the United Nations, the different charters around defending sovereignty. I think we see some of here in Netherlands, where I am right now. Netherlands had Nicaragua filed a case against Germany for supporting apartheid Israel and its genocide. And so, different countries around the world, I think, need to step up and work together, and using different international legal tools and what have you. And I think, domestically, people educating themselves about recent history, and also, learning about the anti-war movement in the United States. The U.S. isn't just, Bill Gates and Joe Biden and Anthony Blinken. There are, it's a lot of people in the country, and a lot of really brave organizations. And in the U.S., a lot of people are really sick of the wars. I mean, we have our two political parties that are so heavily, just financed by the military-industrial complex and put out policies to enrich them.
Yeah, and isn't it sort of farcical? And I sometimes think about it, that the America became a superpower when they had all these kind of liberal narratives to begin. And you had talked about this, that now it is changing to neoliberalization. I like to call neoliberal fascism. But they began, their founding fathers like George Washington, Abraham, they were a moderate nation, right? That's why they gathered support from even the Middle East, even other countries, and they defeated Russia as well, and even the major powers. And how farcical is it that Russia and China are looking as moderate nations now? Middle East is looking as moderate. Al Jazeera is a moderate news channel, right?
I mean, liberalism has its roots right out of coming out of what they call the European Enlightenment and early colonialism and industrial revolution, and the creation of race, where prior to like the 1400s, prior to the 15th, 16th century, there was no, you can't, when you look in old manuscripts and things, they don't talk about black and white and brown and yellow. And so this understanding around race was really constructed during the rise of liberalism and capitalism, and dividing people up into different groups to be ruled and subjugated. And I think, I mean, and just across the sphere, you see a sort of a solidification of a lot of things. I mean, even around organized religion, like if you look at religion in different parts of the world, there were a lot less, there was a lot more variability and kind of local traits and things when you look at our ancestors, and culturally and religiously. So things became a lot more kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of solidified around centers of power, over recent history. And we'll see what happens over, the coming decades and century with AI. I mean, maybe SETI will find a techno signature from another planet. Who knows what's going to happen over our lifetime? We could have some really fascinating things happen over the next 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah, AI is fascinating, no doubt. But I think primary research is also very fascinating, and AI can never match that. Primary research.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And lastly, I would like to, tell a very important thing, my sort of thesis, because why this Palestine issue is so important. Jerusalem is so important. Actually, if you look at the history of Jerusalem, it has always been the region of wars and conflicts, historically speaking.
You're talking about the Middle East or West Asia?
Yeah, Palestine, the capital of
yeah.
So the reason why America is so much influenced on this, because there have been only two civilizations that have actually challenged America in the past. One has been the Russians, the Soviets, and the other have been the Muslim civilization. Because Americans, if you trace back their historical background, they were Romans and all these kind of so Muslims defeated them at that time. So they always have this fear of Muslims will capture us, this region, and so they have this historical significance attached as well. That's why they go so much blatantly on Jerusalem and help.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think West Asia is such a strategic location globally, with supply chains and resource extraction around petroleum, and just its location on the planet. It's like it's vital. And so I think and you have this long history going back, to the Crusades and conflict between the West but also a lot of interaction and trade and arts and literature. And so it's a very fascinating history, and the last few decades have been so sad. The project for a new American century, how it played out with all the neoconservative war strategists in the Middle East, and just devastated so many people's lives through these different wars. I hope that things can really turn around. I think what Yemen has been able to do to the global shipping lanes and in support of Gaza has been amazing.
Inspirational. Professor Norman Finkelstein says that Yemen has actually said that there will be no business as usual. He uses
Yeah.
that word. There will be no business as usual until the issue of Palestine and Gaza is resolved. He used very beautiful language.
Yeah.
And this meeting is ending.
Yeah, or we can talk another time. I would just close with saying the new study put out by the Lancet Medical Journal, I think they're saying that they think 180,000 people have died in Gaza, not the 30,000 number that we kept hearing throughout the years. So it's something that everyone has to really stand up for and unify on, and we need to bring that violence to an end, you know?
Yeah. On Pakistan, I would just say that America is oscillating between Pakistan army and the Pakistan major political parties. Always do that. Let them both fight each other so that we can control them. You wrote about Haiti, exact same issue, right?
Yep. That's the plan around the planet. They keep repeating it, so it makes sense.